30. Let us try to wrap the class before 7:45 or 8, but you have to bear with me. And today's topic is encapsulation. It is one of the important OOPS principles, or the basic principles uh, which provides data safety, integrity, so how encapsulation works in Java is what is today's topic. We will look into hands-on examples and let us try to connect the dots. Everybody has different definitions. Let us just ask Google. I have done that for you. So here I have asked encapsulation in Java. See, what is encapsulation in Java? See, from the Geeks for Greeks, it is trying to tell it's an object-oriented principle that combines data and methods in a class. It is trying to tell something. You might not get the point from here, but just remember, data and methods are being combined into a single unit and collaborate with each other as a encapsulated into a single thing, into a class. Okay. So what is that? If you see this picture, you will understand. In a class, the data members are the instance members, and their behavior are linked together in such a way the access to these data members is encapsulated, means hidden. What does hidden means? See, if you see from the Google, the meaning is to make, from the second definition, the meaning of encapsulation is to make sure sensitive data is hidden from the users. What does this mean? See, now you have some data members. Among these data members, there may be some data field variables which are sensitive, like password, or in a bank account class, user balance is a sensitive information which you don't want other classes in the project to access them. So you want to restrict the access. How you will restrict is, you will give some methods like related methods to set a value into it, or to get that value. You will provide methods. Those methods are called getters and setters. So get method and set method is given. Those methods combined with this data together form a single unit, or encapsulated together in a class. This process is called encapsulation. See, why this is compared with a capsule is like, in a capsule there will be multiple medicines, but what proportion of medicine is to be added, such things is hidden. We don't know. We just take the capsule as an entire unit, single unit, which works on the solution. So similarly, we provide integrity, security, maintainability, and debuggability. All these things, we provide data protection, controlled access, modularity, and maintainability. Modularity, these things we will look each of these things, how encapsulation provides in real code. We will look at examples. So to come to a conclusion, the meaning of encapsulation is to make sure the sensitive data is hidden from users. See, the meaning of encapsulation is to make sure the sensitive data is hidden from the users. To achieve this, you must declare the class variables, just the variables present in the class or attributes, as private. What is private? This is an access modifier. To understand access modifiers, you should read this. An access modifier is used to set the access level for the classes, attributes, methods, and constructors. So Generally you will see public class, public static void main. Public is a common access modifier you will come across even if you don't know about encapsulation. But today we are using encapsulation. We want to restrict the access. See, let me tell you, you will try to restrict the access to the data. Restricting, how do you restrict? By saying the variable is private. I told you, from this definition it is very clear. Declare the class variables or attributes as private. Private is the access modifier. By providing access modifier private, you will understand that this member can be only accessed within the class. See, if you read the proper rule of private for attributes, the private attributes, methods and constructors, you can use one of these access modifiers. The one we are trying to use is private. If you use private, the code is only accessible within the declared class. This is what we mean hiding the sensitive data. When you are trying to hide some data, it doesn't mean you're not completely blocking it from accessing it. It means it has restricted access. So you are restricting the access to the data. But how we will access it then? Through the getters and setters. That is what they mean by encapsulating, binding data with methods. That is what this picture is trying to tell. Now this picture makes sense. Binding this plus this together is called encapsulation. What is this? Private members and the methods related to those private members. What are those methods? Those are setters and getters. These will be public methods using which you will have access to data. You might have a question here. When I am having access to this private hidden data through these setters and getters, what is the advantage? As I told you, there should be some advantage, right, by encapsulating, because in the capsule, how much there might be different medicines, but what proportion of the medicine should be kept in that medicine is already predefined. That will not be changed. Similarly, when you are encapsulating, you will have control over how to insert the data, how to set the value to a data, or if you want to access it, do you really have access? Only if you have access, then you can get the data. That restriction, that capability is being given by encapsulation. How is that possible, sir? You might have questions. We will look each and everything in this video. So please stay tuned. So till now what I told you, I am just trying to recap. We just discussed about the definition. We did not look into examples. Once we look at the examples, you will have complete understanding of what encapsulation is in Java. And look at this. It is looking at a class as a single encapsulated unit which will combine or bind. The plus symbol here should remind you of binding data with its behavior, binding data with its method, binding data with its methods. Why are you binding this data? Because this data is something important that should not be manipulated, because it is sensitive information like password or account balance. These things should not be given access from outside the class, because there may be other classes which can access this class information if it is by default a default access or public access. Generally, public access specifier. The public access specifier means the class is accessible by other class. See, public code in case of attributes means the code is accessible for all classes. So there may be several classes accessing this class and you want to restrict this data. Now let us look into code. So I hope you understand, but before we look into code, I just want to make a note of all the points, so it will be easy for you to refer when you go to an interview. And you want to answer this in less than a minute. So the way you should answer is, there is a catch here. People generally get confused between encapsulation and abstraction in Java, because I don't want to bring abstraction here. Abstraction is hiding internal details that we will look into in the next video or later video. But now we are focusing on encapsulation. So encapsulation means you should blindly remember this picture. From this picture you should say, I am trying to, the plus symbol here tells I am trying to bind. So let us write this in words so that you can frame a sentence when you are asked in the interview. The process of binding data, that is instance members, to the process of binding data with behavior. So the process of binding data with behavior, that is methods. The process of binding data with methods together into a single unit. Together into a single unit. Why I am saying single unit is, you now it forms a capsule. That means it is hiding something. What? Hiding or restricting, to be precise, it is restricting access to the internal data members, not the implementation details, but it is, second point is, this is the first point. So this is the first point. So this I will add it in the description. The notes will be given in the description. So the second thing is, if you look clearly here, we have the thing. So in other words, encapsulation is a programming technique that binds the class members, variables and methods together and prevents them being accessed from other classes. Understand? Let us copy this and put it in our notes. Okay, encapsulation is programming. So encapsulation is a program technique that binds class members together and prevents them from being accessed by other classes. So prevents them from being accessed from other classes. That means you are restricting the access towards data. How? How you are restricting? See, why are you restricting? To make sure the sensitive data is hidden from the users. Okay, from here you understand it is preventing them from being accessed by other classes. Why are we preventing? Is this is to make sure sensitive data is hidden from the users. So I gave you an example of sensitive data. What is sensitive data? Password in a class, in a user details class, or account balance or interest rate in a bank account, in a bank application, interest rate, interest rate. So interest rate, these things should not be modified from outside the class. and also they should have valid data. So encapsulation, by hiding this, and the second thing it does is, the second thing the second thing it does is provide controlled access. Provide controlled access. What does this mean? You remember these 2 points, that's it. So in simple words, what you will say is, encapsulation is a way of binding data with its behavior or methods into a single unit or into an encapsulated unit, and preventing this sensitive data from being accessed from outside the class. How do you prevent this data? Is by two things. One, how? By setting the access level. I told you how to set the access level. Declare the class variables as private. Variables or attributes as private. Attributes and variables are one and the same. What are some attributes that you need to mention as private to be sensitive? When you say sensitive, account information is sensitive, interest rate is sensitive, and password is sensitive. Such information you should provide a controlled way of accessing that information. If you when I say hiding, it doesn't mean they are not accessible. They are accessible through some methods which are binded with this data. What are those methods? Those are public methods to get and set the information, to get the information and to set the values of these variables. You provide two methods. It is not always necessary you provide these both methods. If you want to make these data just read only, then you only provide the get method. If you want to make this data only write only, you provide set method. We will look now. Till now we discussed theory. Hope we will look into it is time to look into examples. Let's get started with coding, where fun begins. Yeah, see. Now this is a basic student class. Don't worry if you are new to programming. Class is a blueprint. We discussed about class and object in the previous video, or you can watch that video or any other video on YouTube or anywhere. But it is recommended to understand what a class is and what an object is, and basics. Because we are entering into OOPS concepts, I recommend I believe you should know all those things. Okay, now class student is there. In this class student, we have few members. One is string student name, the other one is string student ID, the other one is int marks, and it is set to 100. What is this marks? This is maximum marks. That means in an exam, the maximum marks a student can get is 100. The exam is for 100 marks. So I made these variables. I did not give any access modifier, which means they are by default accessible anywhere within the package, which means they are having default access sphere. To be clear, what default means, if you look at here, the code is only accessible in the same package. This is used when you don't specify any modifier. Did I specify any modifier here? I did not specify any modifier. But to make it simple for us, I will make it public so that you don't know. You want to make sure it is accessed from everywhere. And I'm making this as well public. See. Now I made this public. Just focus on these 3 lines. Don't worry about this. This is a commented line. Okay. See, Now it should be hidden or access to it should be controlled. This is the dot we need to connect. The before encapsulation we don't know anything about hiding or controlling the access. But now if you see, uh, this is a class. For this class I am trying to create an object using student object is equal to new student in another class. This is the public class which is containing the main method. Make sure the class which contains the main method is uh, given the public access modifier. Okay, because there are two classes within the same file, it might have a confusion which class I should look for the main. So it should be the file name should match with the public class name which contains the main method. See, if you see carefully, the student details is the name of this file and the class name is also student details. Now in this I am creating an object to the class student. Student object is new student. I created an object new student. So for this I am accessing directly. So this is not generally advised. However, we are doing this here. Object dot student name is equal to Ravi. Object dot student ID is equal to 1. So these are the two things we are accessing. We are setting a value for our instance members here. So because it is public, it can be accessed from outside the class. It can be accessed from outside the class. Okay, so it can be accessed from outside the class. Now let me comment out these things. Now if I run this code, you can see the output. There will be no problem. I'm just trying to print the student ID. Let me write this code one more time so that you will understand better. This is a simple code. Okay, let me quickly write this. So I created obj is the object. Now I'm just printing it. Sysout student name is okay. What is the student name? How do you get the student name? Object dot student name. Using the object you can access the instance variables provided they are public. Why I am mentioning this point you will understand in a moment. Because these are public members variables, you can directly access them using the object dot student. So object dot student name. So what will be the output? Can you guess what will be the output? Ravi, yes, that is right. You guessed it correctly, because in the previous two lines I just specified the values for this object, for this instance variables. Let me now run this code and see what the output will be. I'm running the code and the output is student name is Ravi. So this is the output. So let us see what is the student ID and what is the maximum marks this student can have, this instance can have. Okay, now sysout student ID is object dot student ID. See, using the object I'm trying to access. This is one way of doing things which you might be familiar if you're just a beginner, but once you entered a company, you never see code like this kind of code is really rare. Why? I will tell you, because most of the times all the data in the in a class, in a Pojo or a plain old Java object is private. That is what we will look into in the within few minutes, because we are discussing about encapsulation. I am stressing on this point. Okay, see, till now we don't have any problem doing this, but now sys out. Okay, now maximum marks for the student. Maximum marks for the student is object dot max marks. So let us now run this code and see. The maximum marks for the student is 100. The maximum marks for the student is 100. This is what we were expecting, and we got the same. Now there is one more object. Say there is another student. He is Giri. Now let me create an object. How to create an object? Using the new operator, we can create an object, another student. That is what I will do now. See, student. To make it faster, I will just uncomment this code. Student object to okay, object 2 is new student. Now I created a new student. Object 2 dot student name, student ID. Let us set the ID, and the ID is 2. It is an integer. Object 2 dot student name. Student name is a string, so I will assign Giri. Giri is the name. So object 2 dot max marks is equal to object 2 dot max marks is equal to, accidentally what I'm thinking is I'm setting 150 because I'm having access to this variable max marks. What I'm doing is I'm setting it to 150. Although the maximum marks can be just 100, I'm setting it to 150. Let us see what will happen. Now I will print this. Again I'm printing Alt Shift X. Okay, I forgot to change the object value. Let me change it to object 2. Object 2. Object 2. Alt Shift X. J. This is a shortcut, although it is bigger shortcut. See, we have a problem here. What is the problem? Let us look into this. Unresolved. There is something unresolved. Let us see what is that mistake I have done. Student ID, object 2 dot student ID. Oh, okay. To be frank, the student ID is also a string that I overlooked. That's my bad. Okay. Sometimes we overlook because ID means it should be an integer. Let us fix that in the code itself instead of making it int. And now let us change it back to 1 and this to 2 instead, because ID should always be an integer or long. In programming, in real projects, it's always long. Okay. And it is auto generated. Basically we don't hard code IDs. Most of the time it is auto generated. Don't worry about that. But now I just changed it. This code will not generate any errors, I believe. But the problem will be, see, that will be 150. The maximum marks. How can the maximum marks for for two students of the same class be different? It should be either 150 or 100. Generally, the marks are 100. So, if I have a way to control this sensitive information, let us consider here the sensitive information that should be hidden from being accessed by outside of the class. The outside of the class, in the sense, the maximum marks is a variable or a data of student. It is being accessed from outside the class in student details. Do you agree with me? Student is the containing the max marks, which is sensitive information that is being changed, that you don't want to happen, that you want to be restricted. This is what I am trying to show. See here, restricting data access is a, see, in summary, restricting data access is a fundamental aspect of object-oriented design that enhances data integrity. Here, integrity is missing. See, one student is having 100, other student is 150. If you try to find some computations like average or percentage, one student will get less, other student will get more for the same marks obtained. If both the students got 100, one student will have 100%, but the other student will not get 100% because his maximum marks is 150. So that is issue with the integrity. And we will look at, in another example, we will look at security, and in another example, we will look at maintainability and debuggability. So to summarize the encapsulation, it is, in summary, restricting direct access is a fundamental aspect of object-oriented design that enhances data integrity, security, maintainability, and debuggability. It ensures objects manage their own state and provide a controlled way for external code to interact with the state, thereby promoting robust, reliable software development practices. So the problem is you are having direct access and invalid values. Direct access allows invalid values, because what you are doing through the object reference, you are trying to directly access this variable max marks. What is the problem here? Let us make a note. Direct access. So direct access to sensitive information. Exactly. Here the sensitive information is max marks. In this case, max marks. Sometimes it will be password, sometimes it will be bank balance, or some etc. XYZ. It can be anything which needs to have controlled access. That's what I'm trying to show. Provide a controlled way. So I will make a note of this. Provide a control way. This is another, see, provide controlled access. That is what we wrote previously also. The second thing is it does provide controlled access. So now I will restrict the access to this data. How, sir? How? This is important. Make a note, everybody. Write it down. How you will restrict is, you will restrict access to the members using the access modifiers. The members here are max marks. So how am I going to do that? Simple. Instead of public, I will make it private. Private int max marks is equal to 100. So when I do this, I commented that and I made this 100. See, here I am getting an error. Note this. The field is not visible. Do you understand? This is what means by encapsulating, hiding of sensitive information. Okay, it should be hidden, or access to it should be controlled. It should be hidden. The dot is connected, right? That the field student marks is not visible, which means it is not directly accessible by the object reference. Here object 2 is an object reference which is trying to access the max marks and manipulating its value, but it is not possible. Okay, because it is not visible, its access is restricted from outside the class, because it is binded. Now it is still not yet binded, but sensitive information is hidden, at least now hidden. How? By making it private. This is an access modifier, private, and it made it private. Okay, I just plugged in. We are running out of time. Let us make it fast. So the second thing is providing. The second thing is providing access. How do you provide? How do you bind the behavior to this sensitive data? Methods. The methods we have. How do you bind? I told you you can make this just read only or write only. In this case, it is if you want to set it in such a way, if you want to set it, you don't want to change this value. In that case, there are multiple ways in Java of doing it, but let us say this is a private variable. You want to provide access to this. How do you provide? Simple. Now public, this should be public, because using this method outside members will access max marks, which is a private variable. Using this method, what is this method? Get max marks. This is how you write get max marks. What does it return? It is a max marks is an integer, so it is going to return integer. So in this you are going to return this dot max marks. So you are returning the value. If this value is set, this 100 is going to be written. So whoever wants to access this value, but this will this be, see here you want to print the max marks of the student, you cannot access like this object 2 dot this, but instead you can access the public method, which is the getter method, get max marks. Now if you print here object dot get max marks, okay, control shift X and J. Okay, fine. Now see the output. The output is same, but this time you are having 100 for both the values. But if you accidentally want to change this value to 150, it is not possible because it is a private member, you cannot access it. But in case you want to set this value, how are you going to do this? Say the value is 0. If you don't define a value, the value will be set to 0. See, I will not define and I will print this. The max marks will be 0. By default, the instance variables will be set to 0 in case of integers, null in case of strings, object references. And strings, I'm not sure, just check it out. By not initializing a value, you just check it out. I don't want to tell something incorrect. Okay, see, by default, if it is not set, it is 0. But now I want to, now there is a, I want to make sure I want to access set it. I'm just telling, but it is meaningless to have both setter and getter all the time. But sometimes it is meaningful when you restrict when you control how the value is being set. That I will tell you in another example. Stay tuned. Uh, Hope this is not too long. This is especially for absolute beginners. So I'm trying to tell match with everybody's speed. The second thing is have another method, public void, because here you're not returning anything, you're setting, means you're inserting a value into this variable. How do you insert? Set max marks. Set max marks. See, set max marks. How you are setting it? This dot max marks, you have to pass a value to this, otherwise you cannot set a value, right? And the value is integer max marks. It can be any variable name. Generally in coding conventions we use the same variable name. It can be anything. Here you can give temp also. Here you can give temp also, temp marks or maximum marks or anything. But generally variable name begins with small, so we'll keep it same. Marks to be to essay. Let us leave it simple. Do max marks maximum marks. Okay, so maximum. Okay, fine. So this dot max marks is equal to maximum marks. This is how I set. Now when you call this method, instead of object dot max marks, this is not possible. The same thing can be done using object 2 dot. Now I'm calling the setter method. Set max marks of 100. Now you may ask me, sir, if I call the object one with set object 1 and set marks with 100 and another object with set marks 200, then there is a problem. I agree with you, but I'm just giving you an example of how to access private variables or hidden variables through public methods. Okay, here providing a set marks method, set max marks method is meaningless, because in this kind of situations what you will generally do is make it final static, because this is common to all the instances. The maximum marks is going to be 100 in all the cases. See, now it is not allowing because it is final, you cannot change it. The final field cannot be assigned. Understand? So, this is a different concept entirely. Final is another type of access modifier, which we will look into in a later video. Now I am not worried about this. Static is making a class level variable, which is common to all the instances, all the objects. Object 1, that is Ravi. For Ravi, the maximum marks is 100. For Giri, the maximum marks is 100. If there are 100 students, for all the 100 students, the maximum marks will be 100. But don't worry about that. If in case, if you want to set it, we will look at one more example to understand better how controlled access is provided in encapsulation by providing these getters and setters. See, coming back to the definition, in the W3 schools, they clearly gave how you provide encapsulation is two steps. One thing is you make the variables private. We did that. And provide public get and set methods to access and update the value of private variable. If you simply set like this, there is of no use. You should add some validations. See, How if you simply add like this is meaningless. 100. So if if maximum marks less than 0, uh, if less than 0, what you have to do, you should not let them assign this value to less than or equal to 0. Less than or equal to 0, you should not allow the value to be a maximum marks. Do you agree with me? Less than or equal to 99. Let us say, even it should not be 0, it should not be negative, it should not be less than 99. Okay, it should be 100 or more than 100. Let us assume the maximum marks for a subject will be 100 or more than 100. It can be anything, but not less than 100. That validation I am putting here. Understand? If maximum marks less than or equal to 99, sys out, this is invalid. Okay, this is invalid. Okay, this is controlling the access. This is how I control, by adding validations. Sir, I can do this without a setter method. Every time I set a value, I can just add this validation. You might be saying this. This kind of validation I can do in the outside of the class. In the class where I am assigning the value, I can do this logic. But see, here for this object he is trying to assign a value. For this object he is trying to assign a value. If there are 100 students, 100 times he is trying to assign the value. You have to do 100 validations. Instead, how hard is it to maintain the code? Do you agree with me? So, maintainability is the issue. The maintainability issue is being resolved with the help of encapsulation. Encapsulation is now binding the behavior and the data together. Here the behavior is the method. The setting max marks is the one of the method, instance method, which is now linked to max marks, the data. This is linked with this. So that is why I am making sure this variable name is set max marks. This is the general syntax. This is so what to say, this is so common. You need not write this code. There is a way in Java. If you see in real projects, most of the projects use Lambbook library, which provides this setters and getters. Yeah, here. One of the drawbacks is there is lot of boilerplate code. See, if you look carefully at this car class, it has 3 private variables. One is model, one is year, one is price. See, for accessing these sensitive data or hidden data, private only can be accessed within this class. So he is providing setters and getters. If you look carefully, get model, see, this variable m begins with capital because it's the second letter. Get model, return model, set model, string model, this dot model is equal to model. He is setting and getting. That's it. These are called setters and getters. This is what is encapsulation. See, encapsulation often leads to more lines of code due to getters and setter methods. Generally, most of the encapsulation has both getters and setters. Like this. Here you are getting the model, you are setting the model. And similarly for the year, you are getting the year, you are setting the year. and for the price you're getting the price and you're setting the price. These are called getters and setters. This is what is being told here in the definition. Provide the public get and set methods to access and update the values of the private variable. Okay, you understand? This is the private variables. To access them, you are providing this getters and setters. But here it is meaningless to provide. There is no point of writing all the getters and setters all the time, until and unless you want to specially provide controlled access, which we will look in a minute or few minutes in this video. Uh, right, if you want to provide both get and setters, you have to write the code like this. This is a drawback of encapsulation, slight drawback. To fix this drawback, there is a library in Java, that is Lambert library. If you import this library, it provides the getters and setters. If you just use these annotations, the @ is an annotation. Generally annotations begin with @. The getter and setter annotations are set. If you don't understand any piece of this code, don't worry, it is piece of cake. But there is a mechanism. Instead of writing these getters and setters, if you just write the word annotation getter and setter in at the top of the class, it will automatically import the code, means write the code for you internally. Although it is not visible, it will be present, which means in this car class, whoever is trying to create an object of car class will have access to both the setter and getter of all the members, data members, which are private. Okay, understand? Although that is for sure. So to avoid this many lines of code, writing this many lines of code, Lambert library will help you do this. This is a story. But now you told me integrity is, we understood how integrity is provided, how data security will be provided. We will look into that in a moment. And how providing the control over the access, means that I am showing here in this example. Now if you see here, I am controlling. If he is trying to insert any value less than 99, 0, -1, 98 or 99, we are not allowing it. The maximum mark should be always 100 or greater than 100. So that is, it will throw a message. If you try to assign, it will print a message. Let us see. Alt-Shift-X and J. See, when you are setting for object 2, it will not throw any error. Let us say for object 1, for object, let me copy this line. I am trying to set the maximum marks for object as 10 for object, and see, you will, all it will allow, because we are just throwing a message, it will not set the value. It will be 0, which is not handled. Let me explain what I am trying to say. In the else case, I am putting this, assigning this value. Now Alt-Shift-X and J. Now see, boom, 0, the max marks, and this is invalid. See, this message is being printed for object 1. For object 2, it is setting 100. Okay, because you are trying to set 100, you can now also set 150. So if you are trying to set 100, what you can do is, if it is less than 99, we will by default set the value to 100. This is how we can control the access, means the value should be either 100 or more. So if he is giving any value less than 100, we are setting it to 100. If he is giving anything other than 100 or 100, we can set the value. Now see, if you see here, I am providing set marks as 10 for the object 1, and for the object 2 I'm setting the max marks as 150. That is now encapsulation, how it will provide control over, you will understand how it is providing the control. See, Ravi, the maximum marks of the student is 0. Oh, why is it 0? It should be 100, right? We will look into this. This is invalid. Oh, although it is showing invalid, it is setting it 0, which means we are printing before the accessing. Okay, here we got 150. This should be printed later on. Okay, see. Here we are printing, right? We did not call the set method. That's why we are getting 0. Because by default it is 0. Now after setting this, we will call object x. Now what will be the output? Any guess? Maximum marks of the student Ravi, student 1 and student 2. What will be the output? Any guess? Just for line number 40 and 47, what will be the output? Write it in the comments. Okay. See, the maximum marks for the student 1 is 100. Although we are trying to set the value to 10, the value is 100. And for the maximum marks for the student 2 is 150. Those who guessed it correctly, congrats. But those who guessed it incorrectly, those who thought it will be 0, it's not 0 because we are calling the set method. If you are not calling the set method, the default value will be 0. Okay, fine. Hope this is too long. It's almost an hour. Let us quickly look at one more example where encapsulation plays a crucial role. This is example number 2. See, now this is a class, bank account class. In this, the double balance, there is no restriction. Anyone can modify, because the double balance is a variable which is not having any access modifier like private or public, which means by default it's default, it can be accessed. Let us make it public. To make it more clear, I made it public. So it is not good, because here we are not encapsulating, we are not binding. There is no way to set the balance also. That means now if I run, see, now if I run this code, see, in the bank account demo, I am creating an object. In the line 14, I am creating an object for bank account class. The class which is having a data, sensitive data. I told you balance is a sensitive information, right? You don't want everybody to access your balance information and modify it as well, right? So the bank account is equal to new bank account. What happens here? I'm creating an object and the object is account. It is an object reference for bank account class. So using this object, you can access the members, because all the public members can be accessed. Public and default access, default, who are having default or public can be accessed. I will show you. Now I am accessing it using the account dot balance. I am setting it to minus 5,000, which is not legal. You cannot have a negative balance. Do you agree with me? You will have 0 or more, but not minus 5,000. So this is not allowed. You cannot have this. Although you have a overdraft free, it may be deducted from your balance, but not this. So this is an invalid balance, and you don't have control. If you are running this code, the balance will be printed as minus 5,000. See, balance is minus 5,000. So this is the problem if you are not using encapsulation. Now, how this is an homework. Pause the video here. Try to use encapsulation and restrict the control to the bank account class. Restrict the control to the value balance and make sure the balance is 0 or more when being added, when being set. To be precise, you are trying to set the value of balance for your object, which is of bank account class. Here in this case, the account is the object of bank account. For this account object, you want to set the balance. How you are going to do if you are doing it with encapsulation? I'm pause the video for a second and pause the video for some time. Try it on your own. If you are not able to or do it, or if you did it, well and good. I will hold on now for a second. Okay, fine. Hope you guys did this. If you have not done, we will do it together. First thing is, from the definition of encapsulation, make the data private to restrict the access. As soon as you make it private, it is only accessible within the class bank account. Within this class, from this block to this block, it is accessible. So now you want to give access, controlled access. Now there is restriction. Let me write it. Private double balance balance. Okay, this I will comment. This is by default public for you. I'm commenting out this. Okay. Okay, fine. Control Shift F will format the code. Control Shift F, that formatted the code. Now I have made it private. First step, I made it private, but that is not enough. As soon as you make it private, it is hidden. It is not accessible outside the class. See, here you are getting invisible or something. If you see this error, the field bank account balance is not visible because it is hidden. Private variables are not accessible. How to now do this? So this line is invalid. This you cannot do it. In order to set a value, you are setting a value. In order to set a value, you have to have a public method, setter method. How do you do that? Pub LSC public set public void set balance double balance. It can be any value, but it is good convention to keep the names same. This dot balance will refer to this private variable, the instance members. Instance members are accessed using the keyword this dot balance. So this dot balance is equal to balance. So this dot balance is equal to balance. So this dot balance is equal to balance will set the now this is simple setting. This is no big deal. Here if you just set the balance like this, there is no point of controlling you're not controlling it. How do you control now? Because this is the only method. Remember, this is the only method using which this private variable can be accessed or set. A value can be set to this variable. So here if you want to you want to set, let me tell you one more point. Now I'm setting this Control Shift X. I'm running the code. See, I have unresolved. Oh, you cannot set this because still it is private variable. It cannot be accessed. So how do you set this value? Account using the object, but the public method set balance minus 5000. Say I'm doing the same mistake and I want to show you. Alt Shift X J. Why am I having unresolved exception? Oh, I'm trying to print this. I don't have a setter. I cannot access this value, so you cannot print this value also. Alt Shift X J. Okay. Oh, you're not printing anything. In order to print, you should have a getter value which will return the value of balance. That I'm writing now. Public double get balance balance C return RETU return this dot balance. So this dot balance, return this dot balance. What will happen once I return? I'm getting the output. Now this is not working because this value is invisible. How are you going to do the same thing with the new code? That is the assignment, right? Hope you guys did this. I'm doing much slower when compared to you, but I'm just trying to explain the code as well. That's why it is little slow. Okay, bear with me. Get, here you have to get balance. That's it. Alt Shift X. Now J. You will see the output. Balance is minus 5000. So what thing did we do? Here there is a problem. The balance is 5000. Say we have more accounts. This is account 1. Balance account 1. So the object is account 1. Now there is one more balance. There is one more account. Why I am doing this, I will explain you. There are 3 accounts. 2, 3. So there are 3 accounts. One account is now minus 5000. Let us keep the first account minus 5000. Account 2 dot set balance minus 100,000. Let us keep it 1000 rupees. Account 3 dot set balance 0. Let us keep this 0. 3 values, one 0, one negative, one positive. So when inserting a value, say if you are reading it from the user, if you are writing it outside the class, how you will do it, this is, say there are 3 variables, int bal1 comma balance 2 comma balance 3. Suppose we are reading these values, there is some logic here, business logic, which will read from the user. Read logic to read from the user the balances. We hope you all knows the scanner method, scanner system.in, that I'm not going to show, but for now I am setting this bal1 is equal to, hope this is getting from the user. One is minus 5000, balance 2 is equal to 1000, balance 3 is equal to 0. These are the values we are getting from the user. Okay. I think it should be double, DOUBL, because balance is double. Bal1, bal2. So we, this is, hope these values are read from the user. But here, instead of 5000, you are setting the bal1, here bal2, and here balance 3. However, you are also adding additional logic to control the access. But if you are trying to set the logic here, like if the balance is greater than 0, only then set 0, or then if it is if it is less than 0, throw an error. How many times I have to write for each account? I have to write one time. If balance 1 greater than less than 0 uh, or greater than 0, set the balance. Set the balance. Else throw unsupported operation exception. Unsupported operation exception. You can throw an unsupported operation exception, and by also you can print sys out, invalid balance, invalid BLA and C balance. Do you agree with me? This way you can do this. Unsupported new, you are throwing an exception, unsupported. Just let us not throw, but in real time you will throw something like this. But do you agree with me? This is better way of doing, or is there better way? Instead of writing this logic for 3 times, we will do this at the root level, at the class level, in the that is encapsulation. How? While setting the balance, I will write this logic. If the balance is less than 0, if the balance is greater than 0, insert the balance. So here itself we are controlling the axis. If it is less than 0, if it is not greater than 0, or 0 greater than or equal to 0, it can also be 0. If it is greater than or equal to 0, you will set the balance. Otherwise, else case, throw new unsupported operation exception. But you can also display a message, sys out error, invalid balance, negat negative, balance is not allowed. Okay, instead of throwing this error, I will also throw this error, but right now I will not throw. Now I will comment this code. Here I will remove. Okay, I'm commenting out. Now if you run, can you guys guess what will be the output? Let us see. For account 1 I am printing the balance. The same code I will do for account 2 and account 3 as well. Balance account 2, balance account 3, account 2 dot balance. What is the account 1 balance he is trying to insert? First of all, tell me. Minus 5,000. Here in the bal 1 we have minus 5,000. In bal 2, balance 2 we have 1,000. Balance 3 0. So here what will happen? Let us see. I'll shift X. So instead of, we got an error, negative balance is not allowed. So instead of adding minus 5,000 in the account 1, it is just setting it to 0. And in the balance 2, it is setting the right value 1,000. In the balance 3, obviously it is 0. That is what we inserted, so it is showing 0. Okay, it is handling. If you want, we can also throw in unsupported operation exception by throwing this exception here. Let us do this. It will stop abruptly. That's why I did not do that previously. Now, if you see, see, error, negative balance is not allowed, unsupported operation exception. In thread main, if you see in the line, in the precise line, in the main class 41, in line 41, if you look at here, because of this value in this method, there is a problem. When you're trying to set the balance 1, that is minus 5,000, when you're trying to set the balance, you're getting this problem. So this line, throw unsupported operation. This line is throwing the exception because the balance is minus 5,000, which is not greater than or equal to 0. It is going into the else case. That's it. Hope now you understood what encapsulation, how really it works. So in real world, when you create a POJO, plain old Java objects, say like employee or something, instead of writing setters and getters, you will just write input the Lambda library and write at the rate of getter and setter at the class level. That will by default provide the get balance, set balance, these methods. That is one drawback of encapsulation, that is boilerplate code will be increased. You should be, if you are a little careful, you can reduce the boilerplate code and take advantage of encapsulation and write better code. I'm just telling, if you blindly import Lambda, it will write getters and setters for everything, which is little hectic. That's all for today's class. Have a nice day. Stay tuned. If you like the video, please write it in comments, and if you have any questions, please do write in the comments. I will definitely get back to you.